Hi everyone, my name is Samy. I'm the CTO and founder of Eden AI, and I'm happy to be here today to share with you my presentation about how you can reliably and easily use AI to turbocharge your apps and automations and move them to the next level. So we are talking today about AI. We're gonna briefly talk about how it's getting very rapidly democratized to be used by anyone today. How large language models help a lot in that. The challenges they are bringing, the other types of AIs or other types of models that you could use to get the most uh, of this technology, and how you can put all of that into production in your apps and automations in a reliable fashion. So, first of all, AI has been moving very, very fast. I'm not teaching you anything new here. In the last couple of decades, AI moved from being essentially developed in university labs to being developed by big companies like Google and Amazon internally for doing ads, research, optimization, and recommendation, for example, for Amazon to in the late 2010s being integrated into very large corporations that have been recruiting a lot of data scientists and data engineers uh, in early in the last decade to now being very easily accessible to any company, any type of team, and without the need to recruit experts in the field. So today, anyone can use AI in a very easy way, mainly thanks to large language models. That was the main move that has been pushing developers and no coders and people without AI skill to try and play with AI because it has a very simple interface. Everybody has tried uh, to do some prompting, so it's very easy to use. You have one API, you write some prompts, and you get some outputs. It's very easily customizable because you can just add some examples about what you want your model to do, and it will do it for you very fast just by reading the example and the instructions. Anyone in the world, any person in the world speaking any language or almost can use this type of technology because you can just use it with a large number of languages. And it has a very wide range of applications, mainly around text, but it's still you can still do a lot with it. The thing is that it also has a lot of issues and a lot of challenges that comes with it. So, for example, if you use prompts to generate some information, you might leak some confidential information that you are sending to your language model. The model can hallucinate. You have all probably seen some models inventing some new information, or false information, I'd say. So it makes it a little less reliable and not as reliable as that. So and it also moves very fast. So if you're using a model today, in the next couple of months or next year, it will probably be an old version that no one uses, and new models would have taken over. So with all of that being said, you still have some um, things you can do to make your use of this kind of technology and LLMs more reliable. Mainly adding a lot of verification into your integration. So if you're using some prompt, you will need to validate your input data, check that the right information, the right data type are being sent to your language model. You should, as much as possible, remove sensitive information that you don't want to be leaked to in the output. And you will want to limit the scope of the LLM. So if you have different users using your AI, then you can separate the data, saying this user can interact with this data, this user can interact with that data, etc. You need to craft your prompt to make it as precise as possible, include the right context into it, and iterate as much as possible to make it iterate as much as possible to make it as great. Sorry, I will have to say that again. Oh my God, this. And iterate as much as possible to make it as reliable as possible. And for the output side, you still need to check if the answer is relevant. There are some techniques for that. You need to check if there are any errors. Sometimes you hit some limits on your API calls. Sometimes the API you're using could return an error, etc. So adding a manual review process is something very important that you need to add. And there are a lot of different startups and companies trying to build a lot of tools around this subject, how to make your prompts as reliable as possible. It's not an easy task, but if you use the right tool and if you iterate over and over, you will find yourself implementing something pretty reliable at the end. Another solution to tackle with the LLMs problems is to use specialized model, because now the fact that ChatGPT and OpenAI have taken a lot of space in the fact that ChatGPT and LLMs and OpenAI have taken a lot of space in the media makes other types of models a little less known, while it actually makes a lot more sense to use some specialized models for some tasks rather than to go into a process of creating a prompt, trying to make it robust, adding all the verification steps I've talked about just before. So I've seen a lot of people, for example, using LLMs for translation, while we have great companies like DeepL or Google that have their translation APIs very specifically made for this task, which offer a higher accuracy and which is more efficient and more accurate and less prone to error. While LLMs can actually be somehow interesting for some languages that might evolve a little quicker if you're addressing teenagers that have some very new expressions that they invent every week, then LLMs might make sense. But if you're not doing anything with this kind of evolving expressions, then using the specialized API for translation that is made by DeepL or Google Translate would make way more sense. Same thing for document parsing. I've seen a lot of people doing OCR plus some kind of parsing with LLMs to extract information from invoices, resumes, or ID documents, which doesn't make too much sense because you have also a lot of super specialized providers in the cloud creating APIs and AIs, especially for this purpose. And the AIs are more reliable, and you cannot actually inject anything into the prompt or your document to make the extraction to manipulate the extraction, while you can do that for document parsing. So it would make way more sense to use this kind of APIs for this kind of tasks also. And you have a lot of other tasks that might include sentiment analysis, language detection, or spell check, where very specialized models would make more sense and would be way easier to use and maintain than to craft prompts for this type of tasks. LLMs are still very great, really great for generation purposes, summarization or answering questions, and those type of tasks, using them makes way more sense. So that being said, there are actually hundreds of different AI providers that propose very specific AI models, and choosing the right tool for your tasks will make your life easier in the long run would introduce less errors and less risks than creating prompts. So you need to keep that in mind. And also, sometimes you just can't use LLMs for some tasks. Like if you want to translate a document, like a PDF document, while keeping the same structure. So you have a document with some logos, some images, some tables, something like that, and you want to translate it, and the output would be the same document but with the translation text. Then LLMs can do that. They can produce PDFs. So using a document translation API is the only way for you to do that. Same thing if you want to anonymize some information in your document before sharing it. So you have a PDF, you still want to have a PDF as an output, but with some sensitive information blacked. Then some things like private AI or APIs like that will do the job while you can't actually do it with the LLMs. Same thing if you want to actually analyze images or videos, and you want, for example, to detect not safe for content inside them. Now with the vision versions of ChatGPT or GPT or other types of models, you can ask questions about images. You can't do it for videos for now, but it might happen pretty soon. But even though if you want to detect some specific content in the image, having a model that does exactly that would make more sense, would be way easier to maintain than trying to find a way to using these types of more general models to answer these questions. So you have providers like Clarify. AWS has some interesting image and video analysis features that are very easy to use through their APIs also. And also, I've seen some KYC, like know your customer, type of features being added into some simple softwares where you actually just ask your user to, in order to verify his identity or her identity, to take a picture of their ID document and then take a selfie. And your app would extract information from the ID document and the photo, and we'll compare it to a selfie to know if it's the same person. And if you want to implement that, there are some ID parsing APIs you can use and face comparison API you can use pretty easily to implement that. Now that we've been talking about AI APIs other than large language models that work the same way, still a REST API that you can call. Um, you can still introduce or putting in production still introduces some issues in the long run. So the AI API can fail sometimes if it's in maintenance or they are just the provider is just down. I might have seen it also with OpenAI. You can get errors when making your calls. You can also reach rate limits if you have more usage of your API, more intense usage, then you might run into some rate limiting. Your costs also can go up pretty fast if you have more volumes of data that you want to process. Models can change. The providers update their models. They train them continually. Sorry. So you have to keep that in mind. So if a model is working very well today, it might not work that well in a few couple of months if it's updated. So you need to keep track of that. You can also have some data drift. That's a concept of, like, let's say you have some specific information that is processed by your API concerning one user, and in a couple of weeks you're adding more users with a little different type of data. Then your models that you are using can actually act differently on those new users' data. So you want to know if that happens, and also your the data quality can change. So you might have some scanned document that you're processing, and at some point, some users are just taking photo of the document, so it's not the same quality. And that's also something that might introduce some errors in your model on your AI's processing. So AI is kind of a living thing. It gets trained a lot. It changes a lot. It reacts very differently to different data. So you have to keep that in mind all the time. So in order to have an as reliable as possible kind of production deployment of your AI, you'll need to log the everything that's happening with your AI, all the predictions that are being done in order to detect errors. We want to implement some fallback providers because a lot of the time, a lot of, usually you always have multiple providers doing the same thing. So if you and if since they are pretty easy APIs that you can use, you can actually uh, connect to multiple providers and get a fallback if anything happens with your main provider. And you want to implement observability tools. Those are the tools that will tell you how your model is performing, if it's doing well or not. If there is any model changes, you might notice it here. If there are any data drift, you might notice them here. And same thing, there are a lot of companies that are creating tools around this that you can check on the internet. Some of are open source, some are SaaS. So if you plug them into your implementation, you can follow all the metrics regarding the model. So I've talked about all the AI APIs that you can use and for any task you might want to implement in your app or your automation. I've talked also about some engineering tools that would help you integrate AI and iterate over your integration, and some observability tools that will help you uh, see how your AI is behaving in production. The thing is that hundreds of actors in the market doing all of these things, and it might be a headache to just start exploring all these options. And that's why we have been building Eden AI, where we are working on bringing all the AI tools you need together in one place. So we have one API, one main API to access all the AI models, specialized and more general models like LLMs for tens of different tasks. And we also give you the tools that you will need in production to make sure your integration is reliable. So you can create any workflow to analyze any type of data. So if you have text data, you want to translate it, you want to get it from an audio, so you need to run some speech to text. If you want to need to, if you need to detect the language, extract keyword, analyze sentiment or things like that, then you can create a workflow independent from the provider. Then you can select the different providers you want to use, different models you want to use, and you can update them over time. You will also have access in the platform to some monitoring tools to analyze your costs, observability tools to analyze your model's performance, and management tools to say this user can access this type of technology, the other user can access this type of technology, etc. And we cover a very wide range of use cases. You can analyze images, videos, PDF documents, text, audios, and you can generate all of these with generative AI also. And last but not least, if you have any type of preferred kind of platform that you want to be to integrate your AI into, the fact of having one standardized API. So we're working on the standardization to make it easy for our users to switch between providers and combine them, etc. So the fact of having one centralized API makes it easy for us to bring it to a lot of different platforms. So we are integrated with Bubble, Make, Zapier, Microsoft Power Apps, and a lot of others that are coming. We have some users using us on YPath, some users using us on Salesforce, some users using us on other types of platforms. So we want to bring these tools into the hand of as many people as possible. So that's our mission, and we want to make all these integration reliable and easily maintainable in the future in this very in this crazy market that's evolving so fast. So Thank you for watching. And if you have any question, you can reach out. My email is samy@edenai.co. You can also create an account and start using Edenai pretty easily by going to edenai.co. Yeah, and I will. I would love to answer your questions if you have any. If you want to reach out by email, then I will answer you by email as well. Thank you very much.